20 tips to running a successful webinar. Tip number 1. Think about your webinar daily. Even on days that you aren't working on your webinar and have other things going on, spend a few minutes thinking about it anyway. Tip number 2. Attend other webinars. If you haven't hosted a webinar before, try out a few with different topics and hosts to see what other people are doing. Tip number 3. Make each day count. Each day leading up to the launch day of your own webinar is an opportunity to improve or promote your webinar further. Tip number 4. Get advice from colleagues. Don't be afraid to ask colleagues that are in the same business as you are for advice regarding your webinar. What you find might surprise you. Tip number 5. Promote constantly. Everything you do is an opportunity to promote your webinar. Put a link in your email signature, forum signatures, your social media profiles and more. Tip number 6. Be on the lookout. Novelists are always on the lookout for a good story. Be on the lookout constantly for new webinar topics no matter where you are. Tip number 7. Get to know your platform. Make sure you spend time getting to know your platform. Not only will this help you avoid mistakes, it will also allow you to use it to its full potential. Tip number 8. Consider inviting others. When you come across people you admire, consider whether asking them to guest host would add value to your webinar. Tip number 9. Buy a new suit. Just before your webinar, go out and buy yourself a new suit. You give off an aura of success, even over the internet, when you feel successful, and a new suit will make you feel successful. Tip number 10. Write answers to potential questions. One of the features common across pretty much all webinars is a Q&A session. Writing out some possible answers will allow you to give more thoughtful responses. Tip number 11. Keep an idea journal. Whenever you have an idea for a new webinar topic, or any good idea at all, write it down in a journal that you can refer back to later. Tip number 12. Get enough sleep. If you host a webinar when you're tired, your attendees will not be getting your best self. Tip number 13. Create a webinar set. Create a set with backdrops, lighting and furniture that you can use to host your webinar on camera. Tip number 14. Recruit some friends. You may need help with your webinar. Recruit a moderator or social media manager from your close friends in the business. Tip number 15. Believe in yourself. Confidence is the number one thing that will make you a better presenter. Tip number 16. Check out ways to monetize. There are hundreds of ways to monetize your webinar further. Check them out online. Tip number 17. Smile. Practice your smile in the mirror and use it when you do your actual webinar presentation. Tip number 18. Be prepared. Make sure that you are completely prepared and ready to present your webinar. Tip number 19. Make a movie trailer. Creating an exciting trailer for your webinar can draw in more attendees. Tip number 20. Outsource. Outsource tasks like advertising, slide creation, forum posting and more using services like Fiverr,